You did notice, however, a difference between the less and more affluent parents in the relationship to the purchasing of these items for their kids. Could you describe that?
Sure. Yeah, the parents differed quite dramatically. But again, there were some similarities. I chose these comparison schools to be very close together, in part for the sense of kind of shock that it gave me every day going from one place to another. The kind of, but despite the fact that they were close together, they were extremely, they were kind of illustrations of inequity as only urban America can give you. So going from one to another, you might expect extreme difference. But among the, when I would interview one parent in the hills of Oakland in their beautiful multi-story stucco house overlooking the San Francisco Bay, and then I'd drive down the hill and go on the highway and emerge on a street of, wire fencing and scary dogs, and kind of dark houses that were small. You'd expect great difference, but I found the kind of underlying engine that the parents were very concerned about their kids' ability to make these connections, and that was an argument that if their kid convinced them that was what was at stake, parents on all sides of the ladder would totally roll for that.
Meaning, dad or mom, everybody's got Yu-Gi-Oh cards. If I don't have these, I'm going to be an outcast, and that would be the argument that would work on the parents.
Parents would kind of accede to children's requests when they were phrased as not just everyone has this, because all parents expect that, yeah, right, but if they could convince them, I need this to be a full citizen in my social world, almost no parents could resist that. So all the way up and down the class ladder, that was a very common kind of approach and common response. But the differences, there were extreme resource differences among these families. I had, families that had their own plane, and I had families that, a family of four that made $20,000 and, sporadically. And those parents differed dramatically in how they handled this kind of constant onslaught of requests from children on the basis of social citizenship, even when children kind of silence themselves. So I say constant onslaught, it's almost like the culture is giving a constant onslaught, and sometimes the kids are too. And so if you have this constant element of the parents concerned about this, they want their kids to feel normal. That's their goal, right? They're afraid of difference, and the way they're addressing that is by making sure their kid is the same on some of these critical consumer items, right? Well, what happens is, I found for low-income parents, a practice of what I ended up calling symbolic indulgence, where they couldn't afford everything that a middle-class family might consider part of an adequate a resourced childhood. So, they might not have blocks or a bike or, things that, of course, you're going to have a middle class parent might say. They might not have those basics, but they would have the thing that kind of gave the child something to talk about at school. And so it would be like these kind of highly resonant items. They would have those. And on the other
script.
Right. And then on the other side, I didn't answer that the way you wanted. And then on the other side, the affluent parents, they were operating with different pressures, At stake for them was not, am I an adequate parent? Or are we in trouble? That would be kind of the discourse pressure, the pressures coming in on the low-income parents' thought processes. But for the affluent parents, they were more like, I'm not materialistic. I'm not one of those bad parents you read about on TV, never being able to say no to my kid. So what I found for them is the systematic practice of symbolic deprivation. So the kid would have an enormous amount of material, stuff. There would be mostly yeses in that child's life, but there would be, the parents would point in our interviews to particular things that that child didn't have, so that they could really kind of convince me, convince themselves, that they were honorable people.